That's needed stuff.
Hey Liam, four divisional games in the last 6 games. Have you talked to the team about the opportunity here and just what does it mean to be able to play in the division basically the last 6 games of the season?
Yeah, it's huge. We did talk about it a little bit this morning, obviously for this game, and how important games in November and December are specifically, but even more so when it comes to divisional games that the teams are used to playing each other, know each other a little bit. There's obviously some familiarity with both of these teams and staffs. So, it's a huge opportunity for us. This is why you play. This is, you get into these parts of the season. Everybody's nicked up. Everybody's a little bumped and bruised, but it comes down to, taking advantage of these opportunities and making the most of them and having that heightened sense of urgency as we get into later November, December games, specifically as we get into these divisional ball games, that how important these are. Yeah, we talked about it this morning.
Monday window open for Eric this morning. As much as you can comment on it, what does that do for your depth at safety, and what have you seen from some guys stepping up in his place over the last few weeks, and how do you keep them involved?
Yeah, hopefully, see what he looks like throughout the week. Great to just get him back out on the grass. Hopefully, the communication, the ability to continue to calm things down with his presence. But I really believe that Antonio Johnson has stepped up in a major way. I thought the last few weeks specifically, Dewey has also played some good football for us. And Rayon Lane has stepped up in a big way. With the amount of, he played the most snaps, I think, this past week that he's kind of played throughout the season. And when he's out there, he just plays his tail off as he does on special teams. So, getting Eric back will definitely help. We'll see what it looks like for his availability this week, but been very confident. Antonio Johnson is playing with as much confidence as I've ever seen him have. And is impacting the game for us in a positive way.
The last 2 weeks after the Houston situation there, when you talked about the pass rush has to improve, what's sort of sparked that? I know partly some beat-up offensive lines, but what else has kind of sparked that?
I think that I don't really know. I mean, it's not anything crazy, different scheme or anything like that. I just think that when the front and the coverage match well in terms of whether it's zone or man, not allowing for the ball to come out maybe as quickly as it was able to come out, and then, getting those guys up front going and having them, being in matchups that are favorable, but also winning one-on-ones, defeating blocks, straining through the echo of the whistle, favorable matchups, like all that stuff I think goes into it. But I do think our coverage in the back end has improved over the last, 2 weeks, let's call it, in terms of playing a little bit stickier, having a little bit more of a feel on the underneath zone specifically to not get as much depth in some of our zone coverage, having a little bit more of a feel for, all right, people are trying to work those quick to short intermediate throws as a linebacker or a nickel or a safety down at the second level, not giving up too much ground and depth. I think that all of those things combined have helped the pass rush be able to get home more.
What kind of challenges does Jeffrey Simmons present?
Yeah, a ton. He's. I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald, but there's some similarities there in terms of his ability to create in both the run and the pass. How quickly some of his wins come. The effort, like showed a clip this morning against Denver where they had double chip protection, play action pass. The pocket looked extremely clean for quite some time, and then the ball just kind of got held onto. The routes maybe weren't there yet, and he's going to finish and strain through the echo of the whistle. Great challenge for us as a group, but he's definitely disruptive, and you can see that he's believing in terms of they have belief as a team. There's no quitting that team at all right now. They're actually, playing better and better.
Yeah, their last 3 games have been very close. What are you seeing out of Cam Ward in terms of his growth in these last few weeks?
Yeah, makes the throw on 3rd and XL to put them in scoring position against Houston to go tie the game was an incredible throw. Last week against Seattle, off schedule, moving around more in the pocket, moving outside of the pocket, extending, allowing people to kind of win a little bit more. He's definitely found, I think, a comfort level in some ways of moving around more, moving within the pocket, extending plays, but also then playing in rhythm when he is in the pocket. You definitely see growth and improvement there, as I think we've all maybe thought was going to come and happen for him. So yeah, he can tell he's just continues to improve, and I think using his legs and extending plays has helped him.
Somebody mentioned to you the rivalry between the Titans after you took the job here?
I would say it was, fairly early on. Tony, I think, mentioned it to me a few times with maybe some of the times he's, gone up there and played or whatever it is, stories of vice versa, those guys coming down here. And being in Lexington, not far from Nashville, like, you definitely heard it a little bit being out there in terms of, there's a care factor here. There's a real, I guess you could call it, there's a rivalry. There's an in-division game opponent that both teams have probably, won games they shouldn't and won games that, and lost games they shouldn't, whatever it is. It's one of those games that we understand that anything can happen, right? Any given Sunday, anything can happen, but especially in division games where there's maybe just that little extra, want to on both sides. So we know what this challenge is. Records don't mean anything in the NFL right now. Mean nothing.
Two big time throws from Trevor in the red zone. Throw with some anticipation on those. Walk us through just the trust that he had to have from the receivers. Kind of let a few of those go before the guy could even see it coming. So, how was that?
Yeah, the one in zero blitz to Jacoby, we actually had a very similar rep on Thursday in the walkthrough. We were doing a situational end of game walkthrough type deal, and we were in empty, and our defense zero blitzed us. And he retreated away and threw it actually to Parker. It was a similar type of route, but he was playing it live and true. And then he, gets in the game in not in the game desperation, but a critical 3rd down, got to have it play. It looked as if they were gonna rush 4, so he emptied the back out, and then they zeroed him. So we're in a 5-man protection with 2 chippers that are releasing. We're hot. And he just made a play and made a great throw. Trusted Jacoby to stick his foot in the ground and get his head around in zero. And then the one to Parker in the red zone as well, where he had to step up in the pocket, made a great peck-to-peck movement because the guy was swiping over the top, made a great peck-to-peck movement in rhythm, gave Parker an opportunity throw. So both of those are just great examples of, hey, man, you just go play and not try to do too much before the snap and not, just go play and let your talents kind of take over. And those are 2 great examples that we can continue to build on.
Parker Washington as well, just to add on him, continues to make plays in the special teams and in the receiving game. Just elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been seeing it for a while, right? Since training camp, really. He's been one of our top performing receivers since training camp. He's worked his tail off to learn the system since we got here. He's one of the first guys in the building every day, takes super care of his body, very intentional about the way that he practices and goes about his business. And then on Sundays has made plays for us in a lot of ways. And, he's definitely trusted. He's somebody we count on to continue to make plays. And obviously the first play of overtime was a great example of that, where he's, used in the slot a lot. And, we put him out at 1 on a one-on-one opportunity, and he goes up and makes a play. So a lot of respect for Parker and continue to help us win games.
You guys are getting guys back at tight end. How can 12 personnel kind of really help you guys? How has it helped you guys so far this season?
Yeah, it's I like 12 personally. I think it can help be balanced in the run and the pass. It helps you there, and then some games specifically dictate a little bit. Okay, we want to be a little bit more 11 this week versus 12 based on maybe what you're getting structurally. Last week was a week that we wanted to be a little bit heavier just based on Arizona's defensive structure and some of the things that come up in nickel defense that we didn't really want to deal with too much. And those guys, obviously Strange coming back, but Quentin and Johnny and Hunter Long, how much they've continued to ascend and help us win games this year is I like 12, and hopefully we can continue to use it.
What's the challenge of keeping the ball out of Chim DK's hands on the punt returns? He's done such a marvelous job.
Yeah,
this
we
season.
liked him a lot coming out. Obviously not far down the road here in Florida. Watched him a ton throughout the evaluation process. Was somebody we were had a lot of respect for in that process. And man, he has made game-changing plays or game-altering plays to give them boosts and give them opportunities to stay in games. That was the guy that we talked about this morning on the game records for special teams. So not just on teams, but on offense, where you see him catch shallow crosses and he can go and take it. I think they're getting more and more comfortable using him on offense in confidence, and on the special teams unit. I know John Fossil very well, and I know he'll try to scheme him to get opportunities to make plays again this Sunday.
Are you excited to see how your team performs if the weather does? I mean, it looks like it could be really cold and rainy throughout. Are you excited about that challenge?
It's November football, man. It's November football in the NFL. You got to deal with the elements and going and playing a little colder weather. I mean, it's football, and so I grew up in that, and this is different for me. Seeing palm trees out here is a little new in November and heading into December, and you're in Thanksgiving week, and it's like, wait, where's the tree color change and all that? But it'll be a great op. I mean, this is what why you play, why you prepare to have games like this that it's kind of the essence of football.
What does he kind of mean to you and your team for sure?
Yeah. I've gotten closer and closer with Foye, I think, over the year. The amount of respect I have for not just the football player, but the person, the leader, the man. He's definitely been a consistent rock for us in a lot of ways, and the guy in the locker room, the guy that he's just the same all the time, right? It doesn't change. He's not a chameleon by any means. He doesn't change, and the way that he talks to me, the way he talks to the team, the way that he plays, he's been doing it at a high level for a long time now, and but very pleased with his consistency, his leadership, and he gets people to the ground. He's a darn good tackler.
What are your expectations?
He's 2 and number 1.
Brian, working him back in, but not just in terms of his availability for Sunday, but also once he does come back, how does that maybe change how you view that wide receiver room and how you use it?
Yeah, we'll have to see what he looks like, obviously, this week, and see how much he can, do and help us get out on the grass. Obviously, we definitely need his presence and get somebody out there that can continue to stretch the field and make big plays for us. So we'll take it day by day.
Your first Cause My Cleats as the head coach, does it do anything special you need? What does it mean to you to be able to have this platform?
Yeah, it's definitely a it's interesting because you've gone through it as an assistant, and you're not in the spotlight about what your cause is, and so now obviously going into this position, it's a really cool. I think our organization's done a good job of kind of highlighting this and letting our players have a platform to not only show as a team but individually some of the meaning behind their causes. They've been able to do some tapes, I think, things that have gone out, and take a little bit of a deeper dive into some of these players and what their causes are, maybe some of their whys behind why they play and why they do this. And obviously for us as coaches, it's a great opportunity for us to be able to help support maybe things that have affected our lives in the past.
Your shoes are delayed, they're coming?
Yeah, they're coming.
Suicide prevention?
Yeah.
Is there some connection for you there?
Yeah, that's my mom passed. Yeah, she committed suicide when I was 21 years old. So, that was obviously, she was sick, had Lyme disease for a few years there. And, I was redshirt sophomore in college when that occurred. So that's, definitely in my family in terms of she's in our thoughts and prayers. So she'll be with us on Sunday.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Coach.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.